Welcome to this week's Read the Bible Story Together session. And we're going to do two stories so that we can catch up from last week because we didn't do it because I didn't have a voice where I could record so that you could hear me. So we are catching up. And so the first story is the parable of the fig tree, which you heard in worship this past Sunday. And so let us begin. It is a short one. It comes from Luke chapter 13, verses 1 through 9, if you want to follow along in your own Bible. So from the Spark Story Bible, from Spark House Publishing, the parable of the fig tree. Jesus told this story to remind people that every day is a gift from God that we should use wisely. Once there was a man who had a vineyard. This man loved figs, so he planted a fig tree. He couldn't wait to eat the figs from his tree. And every year the man came to the vineyard to check on his tree. The first year, no figs. The second year, no figs. The third year, no figs. The man told the gardener, I planted this fig tree because I love figs. And every year I check, but still no figs. Cut this tree down. But the gardener was smart. Wait one more year, he said. Let's take special care of it and give it one more chance. I'll give you the best figs you have ever tasted. So, have you tried figs? Maybe in a fig Newton cookie or something like that? And then talk about ways that your faith grows, like the fig tree. Okay. There you go. And then our next story is what you're going to hear in worship this coming Sunday. And it is the parable of the prodigal son. And this comes from Luke chapter 15, verses 1 through 3 and 11 through 32. Jesus spent time with all sorts of people, even people who had done bad things. This made some people mad. Why is Jesus always around people who do bad things? They grumbled. Jesus heard them, so he told them this story. A man had two sons. The younger son, who was a bit wild and crazy, came to his father and said, Dad, I want to get away from here. I want my money. This made the father sad, but he split his money and gave his son the part that was his. The younger son packed his bag and headed out away from home. He looks pretty happy to be leaving home, right? Maybe he was just adventurous. And the son traveled to a faraway country and spent all of his money on fancy parties and food. And soon he had no more money and no place to stay. Lucky for him, he found a man who let him sleep in the barn if the son fed the pigs. What am I thinking, he said to himself as he fed the pigs. The men who work for my father have more than enough to eat, and here I am starving to death. I'll go home and say to my father, Dad, I made a big mistake. I am not good enough to be your son, but would you let me work for you? So he went home, and you can see him there sleeping with the pigs in the barn. While he was still far away from his house, his father saw him. His father ran and threw his arms around him. The father put a ring on his son's fingers and shoes on his feet and ordered a party to be thrown for him. The older son saw his father's servants preparing for the party and asked, What's going on? Your brother is home, said a servant, and your father is having a party. This made the older brother angry at his father. I've always done what's right, he said to his father. I've worked hard for you, but you never gave me a party. Now my brother came home after he wasted your money. Why are you throwing him a party? My son, you have always been with me. But your brother left and has now come back. Then the people understood. Jesus spent time with those people because even though they had done bad things, they decided to change their lives and live like God wanted. And this made Jesus happy. So, how would you have felt if you were the younger son and your father was so happy to see you?